debate and argument you could use. You could ask the question, is there an identified asset? Is there, or does the lessee get substantially all the economic benefits? And then the next question, does the lessee direct the use? Now let's look at this question about lessee directing the use. When you are directing the use, essentially you have to ask a question. The question that you ask is, who controls the asset? And in order to decide who controls the asset, you must ask a question, who takes the how and what purpose decision? If the customer controls the asset, it's a lease. If the supplier controls the asset, it's not a lease. Sometimes the arrangement may be structured that the asset's use is predetermined. If that is the case, you need to do a further analysis. And if the customer has a right to operate the asset without the lessor's intervention, it's a lease. Or if it's predetermined in its use, then it's also a lease. Let's give you an example. Let me give you an example, a real-life case. We're just changing the names so that you can decide whether something meets the definition of a lease. Although here I'm calling it customer C, you can treat it like an Adidas or a Nike, right? So I've got here customer C that enters into a contract with a manufacturer M somewhere in Malaysia to purchase a particular type, quality, and quantity of shirts for 3 years. So Adidas goes to this Malaysian factory and says, I want you to make for me Adidas's Climacool t-shirts. I want 500,000 units. I want the following sizes. All right? So they go into this factory in Malaysia. Please make me these following shirts. This is the design, this is the quantity, this is the quality. The type, quality, and quantity of the shirts are specified in the contract. The Malaysian entity, which is M for the time being, has only one factory that can meet Adidas's requirement. Right? So Adidas guys came over to Malaysia, saw the factory, hey, we like this factory, it meets the relevant ISO requirements. Therefore, we want you to use this factory to make our Climacool. Climacool is a brand of Adidas shirts from this factory. And the Malaysian supplier cannot make these shirts from another factory because that's the only factory in Malaysia, the only factory that has the technology. However, I also tell you the capacity of the factory exceeds what Adidas's order is. So Adidas is asking for 500,000 shirts. They have a capacity to produce 700,000 shirts over that 3-year period. I then also tell you that the Malaysian company makes all the decisions about the operations, whether to use child labor, not to use child labor, to use what times the shifts will run, how much output to do, how much output to use, and what to do with the spare capacity. My question here is, does Adidas have a lease with the Malaysian company? In order to decide if we have a lease, we need to see, is there an identified asset? Does Adidas get all the economic benefits? And lastly, does Adidas direct the use? Now, let's ask all the questions. Is there an identified asset here? Which is the factory? Although it may not be specified, it's implied. There's only one factory that the guy got who can do this work. Therefore, there is an identified asset. Second question, does Adidas get all the economic benefits or substantially all the economic benefits from the factory? How much can the factory produce? 700. How much are they taking? 500. Are they getting all? No, they are not getting all the economic benefits. Khalas, not a lease. But let's wait. Let's go one more question. If they did get all the benefits, let's go to the next point. I'm telling you that M decides how to run the factory, how much production to run, when to keep the factory open, when to close it, what grade of labor to use, whether it's unionized or not unionized. Who's running the factory, Adidas or the Malaysian entity? Malaysian entity. Therefore, guess what? This isn't a lease. Let's give you the answer. This is not a lease. There is an identified asset. Yes, you guys were right. There is an identified asset. However, you're right. C does not control the use of the factory. C is Adidas because it does not have the right to control all of the economic benefits from the use of the factory. Secondly, C does not control the use because it does not have the right to direct the use. It doesn't operate it. It doesn't tell the Malaysian company when to close, open, do what they have to do. C does not have the right to direct the how and what purpose the factory is used during the 3-year period. C's rights, which is Adidas, is limited to specifying output. Yeah? Because it's limited to specifying output, it has the same right like any other customer. M has the right to direct the use because it can decide how and what purpose the factory is used and what to do with the spare capacity. Therefore, this is not a lease. Now, under IS 17, this would have been a lease. I promise you under IFRIC 4, paragraph 9, if you had one of those two requirements, you release. You understand? And it was worded in such a way that you could get into the leasing standard. Let's give you another 2 examples. Another 2 examples. Look at this example here. Let's say R grows rice. They're a commodity trader in rice. R contracts with S. S is the ship owner for the transport of rice. I'm just giving you more to that example. From Dubai to Jeddah on an identified ship. So they're saying, use this ship, transport my rice. Say all 20 tons of this rice goes onto this ship, transport it for me. I then tell you, the contract says, this is the pickup date, this is the delivery date of the rice. The cargo, the rice that I'm going to tell them to, the R is telling them to pick up, will occupy the entire capacity of the ship. Who runs the ship? S operates the ship. It brings its own crew, it will run the ship, it will maintain the ship, it will be responsible for the safe passage between Dubai and Jeddah. R is the rice company, cannot hire another operator during the period of the lease or during the period of the contract, or cannot operate the ship itself. Let's see. Is this a lease? First, before I get to that question, is this a lease? Do I have an identified ship? Yes. Do I get all the economic benefits from the ship? Yes, I'm taking all the capacity. Am I directing the use? Oh, wait a minute. The use of the ship is predetermined in the contract, the pickup dates and the delivery dates. Okay. Because the pickup dates and the delivery dates are predetermined, I then have to look at, okay, that's predetermined. Sorry, what do I control? Who controls the crew? S. Is this a lease? No. The rice company does not control or direct how the ship is going to be used within the parameters. Therefore, this arrangement is not a lease. Because look at the answer I'm providing here. I'm saying R does not control the ship because it does not have the right to direct its use. The how and for what purpose the ship is used, the journey from Dubai to Jeddah is specified in the contract. It does not have the right to operate the ship and did not design it in a predetermined way. It has the same rights of the ship as if it was any customer. It's not a lease. Now let's look at this situation. Company T. Company T is a tea supplier, right? They enter into a 5-year contract with Company U for the specific ship. They decide they want to transport tea, their tea all over the world. They want to go to Brazil, they can go to Brazil. They want to transport their tea to Sri Lanka. Who would take tea to Sri Lanka? But you could. They want to take their tea to Africa. They can take their tea to Africa, the US, Europe, whatever. So T decides, the company, whether and what cargo will be transported, what kind of tea, the high quality, the low quality stuff, which ports to go, and throughout the period of 5 years, they decide which ports to go to. However, I tell you, there are